Welcome to KXAN News Today. There is a new route opening up this morning for Austin walkers, runners, and bikers. The Hartman Bridge ready to go on the hike and bike trail after months of detours. It's over off Lady Bird Lake and Rainey Street. Austin is celebrating the public opening with a coffee pop-up, treats, and more. This starts at 9 this morning.
KCISD is considering possible action to call for a school board election in May. The bond itself is almost $1 billion, with costs going to things like a 4th high school and 18th elementary school. The bond election would be the highest costing bond that the district has ever seen.
Person is dead after a car crash in Austin between a car and a person who was walking last night. This happened around 9:45 off North Lamar. It's near the West Runberg Lane intersection. We do not yet know what led up to that crash. And Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents are conducting enhanced targeted operations in Austin. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Miller.
I'm Sally Hernandez. We know it started yesterday. It's the targeted operations that span across Texas and nationwide. We have photos from ICE that coming out of their San Antonio field office, which does oversee the city of Austin. Other agencies were there, including the Drug Enforcement Administration and the Bureau of Tobacco, Alcohol and Firearms and Explosives. They all partnered up yesterday.
In a statement, an ICE spokesperson told KXAN the agency conducted operations to, quote, enforce U.S. immigration law and preserve public safety and national security by keeping potentially dangerous criminal aliens out of our communities. KXAN also spoke to a source at the Drug Enforcement Agency, and that person said the DEA is providing extra personnel to ICE in the Austin area. Governor Greg Abbott says the Texas Department of Public Safety assisted with these operations and adds they are expected to expand in the coming days.
KXAN also confirming similar enhanced targeted operations began in other cities nationwide, including Dallas and San Antonio. Outside Texas, we've confirmed ICE conducted enhanced targeted operations in cities like Chicago, Miami, Los Angeles, Denver, Buffalo, and Atlanta.
And these type of operations, they're not new. During President Biden's last year in office, ICE data shows agents arrested more than 113,000 people across the country. This is between January and September of 2024. 35,000 of those arrests were here in Texas. Since ICE started tracking that data in 2021, it recorded almost 140,000 arrests here in the Lone Star State.
First warning weather with meteorologist Kristen Curry.
Well, good Monday morning to you. Looking at radar now, it's hard to tell, but there's a couple spots of drizzle, mist, even some light rain trying to get going in our eastern counties. That's going to be the trend from start to finish today. We won't see a whole lot of sunshine. In fact, cloudy skies are going to be with us all day, and every now and again, we'll be looking at a few spots of that mist and drizzle. Live look outside from our Allied Medical Emergency Room camera there in Bastrop. You can see a little bit of wind on our flag. That wind coming out of the north-northeast, I anticipate to be with us more so this afternoon. It's fairly light across the Central Texas area at the moment, but your temperatures are still in the 40s area-wide, so there is a chill in the air. But overall, this week looks to be much warmer than what we had last week. Bus up forecast, temperatures around drop off in the mid-40s. Later today, mid-50s. Cooling and cloudy will be the trend today and tomorrow. But we've got the risk of not only some heavy rain, but potentially some severe storms this week. I'll tell you when coming up in your first warning forecast. Sally?
Kristen, a contentious vote last week in the Texas House of Representatives could change which bills moved forward through the Texas legislature. The Texas House of Representatives approved banning House Democrats from chairing any committees. In an ironic, though, turn of events, a majority of House Democrats agreed to these rules, while a group of Republicans voted no on those rules as well. The rules now state all committee chairs will go to Republicans and all vice chairs will go to Democrats.
It has hurt Democrats and reduced our power, but at least gives us some ability to interact in the process.
Some Republicans say this gives them, Democrats rather, it gives them more power. They wanted to offer amendments to the rules, but didn't get a chance to do so before it passed. The House will now move on to the committee assignment phase. Each member will write down which committees they prefer to be assigned to. It will be up to the Speaker now of the House to make those assignments in the next few weeks.
Over to the Senate, which filed its bill to use tax dollars to pay for private school tuition. Under it, Texas families could receive up to $10,000 a year per child. The bill says that every student in the state is eligible for this program. However, there's a priority for low-income students and those with a disability. Supporters say it gives parents the freedom to choose their child's education path, but opponents say this bill will only help wealthier families in the state subsidize their tuition payments. Texas Politics Project Director James Henson weighed in on where public opinion stands.
If you offer Texans these kinds of programs, you are going to find a reasonable amount of support. But if you ask Texans how important it should be or where it should be in the list of priorities, it ranks pretty far down the list.
The Texas Senate successfully passed a version of this program in the past, but it later failed in the House of Representatives. Governor Abbott says he is confident there are enough votes in the House to get it passed this year.
Today, the world will commemorate the 80th anniversary of liberation of Auschwitz, a Nazi extermination camp in occupied Poland in the 1940s.
We know that their Nazis murdered at least 1 million people, mostly Jewish people, as that camp became a symbol of the Holocaust. And NBC's Jay Gray reports from Auschwitz as he hears from survivors.
There were over 1 million Jewish people killed in Auschwitz alone. So this is kind of a sacred ground, the biggest burial of Jews in the world.
Michael Bornstein somehow escaped the gas chambers, the firing squads inside this death camp. You can see him here, a 4-year-old prisoner of Auschwitz. Now, 80 years later, Bornstein returns, not by force, but by choice.
And it's also important for me to show the world, the bigotry and the hatred that went on in Auschwitz.
Around 50 survivors have gathered here 8 decades after their liberation.
Telling their story, and it's a way that people never forget what happened. And in a few years, there'll be no survivors.
And as their voices begin to fade, the work inside this restricted area of the camp, where cameras are rarely allowed, becomes even more crucial. Conservationists and scientists inside this high-tech lab preserving the history here. Thousands of items cataloged, stored in climate-controlled rooms. Still, with all of this work,
tradition is extremely, extremely important to me.
And with the words of survivors, the story of Auschwitz will never really be complete.
Because there is this darkness that will never be told, because most of the people who were deported to Auschwitz did not survive this place. They were murdered. Most of them never became prisoners of the concentration camp. They were murdered immediately after arrival in gas chambers.
This place, a memorial and museum dedicated to their memory.
And that's another reason the survivors return here. Mr. Bornstein saying that he's drawn here to offer prayers for the lost, including his brother and father who died here. Jay Gray, NBC News, Auschwitz.
Good morning. This is a live look outside from Marble Falls. Here dark early on this Monday. Happy to have you with us. Just probably waking up, about to have a big day ahead as we kick out this week. And then let's go down to Hays County from here, where San Marcos is officially a bird city. This designation comes from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department and the Audubon Society of Texas. The Parks Department says San Marcos received this designation because it met rigorous criteria focused on habitat protection, threats to birds, education and engagement, and sustainability.
All right, it is that time of year again, and it starts today. We're talking about the Internal Revenue Service. The IRS will begin accepting tax returns. The IRS is expecting more than 140 million people to file individual tax returns by Tuesday, April the 15th. That's the deadline. Late submissions are usually prone to penalties and, of course, interest, but this year, relief provisions are being provided for those impacted by natural disasters.
And going in depth on this, there are some noteworthy changes coming to tax returns this year. One of the biggest is a form that's called the 1099-K. This is for taxpayers who've received $5,000 or more through apps like Venmo, Zelle, Google Wallet, and other services. The IRS says all incomes received through sites is taxable regardless of whether it hits that $5,000 threshold. Taxpayers need to report that even if they don't receive the form. And that's going to impact a lot of people.
Yeah, that's a Monday story.
Isn't
if
it?
you've ever heard one. Like, taxes are due.
Exactly,
Heads up.
exactly.
Welcome to the week.
And the way that you've been getting money, you're now going to need to pay
Yeah.
taxes on that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that for us. Let me show you what's going on outside, because I love the fact that we've got some good-looking rain chances this week, friends. It starts today on the low side, but then they really pick up heading into midweek. So let's dive into it. Live look outside on a River City Grill Marble Falls camera there. Highland Furniture, our friends out there giving us the view of, which is tough to see it in the dark, but some very low cloud cover. We've got these cloudy to overcast skies expected through the day, and that actually started late last night. So the clouds will be with us. Your temperatures are in the 40s this morning, so definitely still cool enough to need that jacket. But as far as where we're going, we start in the 40s and finish up in the mid 50s. So we're really not going too far. That 55 degrees today matches where we were yesterday at our warmest. But yesterday was kind of a weird day. We hit our high temperatures early in the morning and then cooled down with some of that rain coming in. Picked up less than a tenth of an inch in Austin, but hey, every little drop counts. The rain chance today is going to start at 10%. I really don't expect anything in the way of heavy rain, but I think the clouds are going to dampen the warm up some with those low to mid 50s, and there'll be a little bit more of a tease, and I think productive for us. Here's what I mean. If I put this into motion, you're noticing a little spotted green here and there, but nothing that really looks that impressive. And I don't expect it to today. I think through the day, it's going to be spotty mist, spotty drizzle. If we're lucky, we'll get some light rain in here. Bottom line, today's not going to be a big deal, but it is a testament to the fact that we've got some moisture in our atmosphere to squeeze out. We're just waiting on a trigger. Tomorrow, trigger gets a little closer to us, so I'm going to beef up the rain chance to 30%. We could see a few more hundredths of an inch of rain out of that. But a storm system that's actually out over Southern California now looks to cross over the state late Wednesday into Thursday, and that is what we're waiting on. Look at by the time we hit Wednesday afternoon, you're noticing a difference, right? It's not that little bit of mist, drizzle, light rain we'll see today and tomorrow. These are full-blown showers. In fact, we could even see some strong thunderstorms in the mix late Wednesday into Thursday before that storm system leaves. That being said, the severe risk is a 1 out of 5 in dark green, 2 out of 5 in yellow. That's going to be late Wednesday, but it does continue into Thursday for most of the area. So a low to moderate severe risk attached to the storm, in addition to a 1 out of 4 risk of some isolated flooding. How much rain could we see? Well, anywhere from about 1 to 2.5 inches it's looking like, but this is a widespread heavy rain event as we get into the later part of Wednesday and Thursday. So when we put it together, cloudy skies, some light rain chances today and tomorrow. The main event will be Wednesday and Thursday. Temperatures, though, much warmer this week. I mean, we're in the 50s to start, but we see 70s to finish January and head into February. And we got a good looking weekend of sunshine here. That starts Friday, continues through Sunday. Same storm that's triggering rain here, unfortunately causing problems out west. People in Southern California continue that slow recovery from the devastating wildfires earlier this month, but now there's this new threat as that storm system brings heavy rain through the day today. So heavy at times, they're worried about mudslides and debris flows and some of those fresh burn scars. A flood watch is in effect until this afternoon for Los Angeles County, Ventura County. Residents are being told to use sandbags to protect their homes from flooding and to prepare to evacuate again if needed.
Kristen, thank you. As the trial approaches later this year for the man accused of murdering 4 University of Idaho students back in 2022, one father is speaking out.
Yeah, his name is Steve Goncalves. He's the father of one of the victims, Kaylee Goncalves. He shared what his family's hoping for when the suspect, Brian Kohberger, is back in court.
Anything the jury's going to see in that courtroom, we should all see. You shouldn't run from the truth. You shouldn't hide the truth, even if it makes somebody look guilty. So that part of the still work to be done.
Kohberger's trial is scheduled to start on August 11th. Jury selection slated for July 30th.
Kristi Noem is the new Department of Homeland Security Secretary. The former South Dakota governor swore in on Saturday. The ceremony came after earlier the Senate voted to confirm her in a 59-34 vote. Noem has resigned from her former post, ushering former Lieutenant Governor Larry Roden into the governorship.
As some mass deportation plans take shape, there are 260 deferred action for childhood arrivals or DACA recipients who cross back into Mexico to try and fix their legal status. These are people brought into the U.S. illegally as children. Each receive special permission from U.S. immigration authorities to leave and illegally re-enter the country. Still, it is a risk, though, because getting back into the U.S. is not a guarantee, but it could help clear the way for them to petition for permanent status.
It finally takes away this legal technicality that has been keeping them in this limited status and in a fear of being separated from their family.
Well, anyone with DACA can apply. Some worry that the ability could go away under the new Trump administration. The DACA program itself is in limbo due to legal challenges from Republican-led states driven by Texas. President Trump tried to end DACA in his first term, though he recently said he wants to find a solution.
In a move some are suggesting violates federal oversight laws, the new presidential administration fired at least a dozen independent inspector generals. AP reporting that 2 people familiar with the move said it started Friday at night. And while neither confirmed the exact number, one email from a fired inspector said roughly 17 inspector generals have been removed. Inspector generals are meant to investigate claims about mismanagement, fraud, or abuses of power reported inside an agency. These dismissals may be against the law, however, because as Congress requires that the White House give them 30-day notice and substantive a good reason as to why an inspector general is being removed. Now, NBC News says a senior White House official told them that the move was to let go parts of the Biden administration that don't, quote, align with Trump's administration.
Austin Travis County EMS getting cuddly with some teddy bears today. The Central Texas Public Safety Commission is donating 500 bears to EMS. The goal is to help first responders have bears to comfort children in crisis. In recent years, more than 5,000 kids were involved in crisis situations, with those numbers rising in Austin and Travis County.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
It was quite a week for the Longhorn women. Monday beating Maryland, a top 10 team. Thursday, back and forth game at Moody Center and Madison Booker. Note the spot on the floor hit what turned out to be the game winner with 27 seconds to go against Tennessee. On Sunday, Booker back at her home state of Mississippi. Longhorns taking on Ole Miss, old rival for Vic Schaefer when he was at Mississippi State. This was a tough one for Texas out of the gates as Ole Miss, Sierra Chinu with the bucket, 3-point play and 5-point lead for Ole Miss. Rory Harmon gives Texas a 3-point lead. Back comes Ole Miss, though. Christine Owalawu with the bucket right there, and it's a 4-point lead at the half. Booker knocks down the jumper, but then 2.5 minutes to go in the third, and she commits her 4th foul. She's got to take a seat in a tie ball game where points were hard to come by. And then Madison Scott, biggest lead of the game, is 8 for Ole Miss in the 4th quarter. But here comes Texas, and Taylor Jones leads the way. The bucket, the foul, cuts into that 8-point deficit with the 3-point play. And then tough shot, Jones, 24 points, a season high, game tied. Booker with a miss, got an offensive rebound. Second chance, Booker with a miss, but fights, and loose ball goes to Texas. So just under 37 seconds to go. What do you think they're going to draw up for Texas? Yeah, Booker. Remember that spot against Tennessee with 27 seconds to go? How about with 25.5? Booker with the bucket. Ole Miss comes down. They miss a chance to tie. Jordan Lee gets the rebound. Rory Harmon hits 1 out of 2 free throws. So a wing and a prayer with 1.6 doesn't happen. Fitting way for the Longhorns to win. Booker with the interception, and Vic Schaefer's reaction says it all.
Gosh almighty, what a game. These old kids just played their heart out, you know, never quit, never gave in.
I drove it and I saw that, you know, like my shot was there. And so, you know, also coach had major confidence in me. So just to even make a decision like that. So, I mean, just that's my work ethic. That's his confidence in me. And, you know, the ball went in the hoop.
It's a Texas 20th win, 1 game behind South Carolina, 3-way tie for second place at home against Missouri on Thursday. UT men play at Ole Miss, and of course that's a matchup against Chris Beard and Rodney Terry. Super Bowl is set 2 weeks in New Orleans, a rematch of 2 years ago, Chiefs and Eagles. Back to you.
Thank you so much, Roger. Coming up, a new crackdown on immigration leads to protests right here in Austin. If you are listening on the KXAN Today podcast, thank you so much for joining us. Please join us for more stories on air and then always online at KXAN.com.